What's up, Silver and Black Nation? Welcome to the Silver and Black Lair, Las Vegas Raiders edition. I'm your host, the Bat Fry, Kenny Fry, and it's a Victory Monday. I'd say about 50% of Raider Nation is pissed that it's Victory Nation. I'd say 50% of Raider Nation is happy it's Victory Monday. It's just win, baby. It's not just tank, baby. But you know what? I get both sides of it. I'm on the side of the Raiders have never, I shouldn't say never, they've been on the poorer side of drafting early in the first round. Well, in the first round, period. I went over it a few weeks ago, and I'll go over it again. Many times coming up to leading up to the draft in April. I believe it's in April, and it's just it's hard to justify the tank when there's been no proof that the Raiders can make a solid pick consistently. We have. The Raiders have. Made some decent picks over the years. You can look at Khalil Mack, Brock Bowers. For the most part, Colton Miller is having a rough season this year, but for the most part, he's been a very good left tackle. One of the better ones in the league, barring this year. Minus this year, I should say. It's just consistently, especially when drafting quarterbacks. I mean, Derek Carr was a second-round quarterback, and he holds all the Raiders' major passing records now. Again, it's a different league now than it was when the Snake played and Plunkett played and stuff like that, and guys like from yesteryear. But it's a different league. But he was the closest thing we've had to a franchise quarterback, probably. Jesus, probably. I try to think back. Probably since I don't even know if you want to say Plunkett was a franchise quarterback or not. It was very short term, and he did win a Super Bowl, two Super Bowls with the Raiders. But I just don't know if you consider him a franchise quarterback or not. But still, and then that was even through draft. That was through trade. So the Raiders, they don't draft well, especially at the quarterback position. We've drafted many quarterbacks. Marinovich, right there's one. That was supposed to be the next big thing. And we've traded poorly as well with Carson Palmer, right? And sometimes when we do have a quarterback that is actually somewhat decent, that might be able to take the Raiders at least to the playoffs, if not win a game or two in the playoffs, they end up trading him away before we can see that turn into something. So it's hard to say tank or not, and I don't know. Like I said, I'm on the part of it where you win. You play to win the game. The old Herm Edwards, quip from back in the day. It's you see it there on the screen. It's just win, baby. It's not just lose to draft a quarterback that we don't know if he can take us to where we need to be. You don't know. There's nobody in this draft that screams Peyton Manning. That's an automatic number one pick. That's our guy. Number one, number two pick. That's the guy that's going to take us to where we need to be. This is a franchise quarterback. There's two quarterbacks that are first round worthy, according to all the experts. That's your Cam Ward and Shedeur Sanders. And we all know the love relationship that Shedeur has with the Raiders, and the Raiders, Brass has with Shedeur and all that good stuff. But it's, these guys, from what the experts have said, if they were in last year's draft class, they're second round, third round pick. I don't know. I don't know. We got a comment here from our boy, Vegas Rob, the mayor of Las Vegas. Vegas Rob. What's up, brother? He says, Merry Christmas and Happy New Year, Bat Fry. Merry Christmas to you, Rob. I hope you had a great Christmas and easy on the sauce this New Year's, right? I don't want to see any video of you stumbling around any of the Vegas Strip there all butt ass naked. We don't want to see that, Rob. But seriously, I hope you have a great New Year and all that good stuff. But Rob, if you're still watching, well, what's the feeling out there in Las Vegas? What are our Raider fans thinking after the win? Are they pissed off because now the draft capital, the draft stock has dropped? Right now, the current Raiders are currently projected to pick 8th, and that's probably not going to net you one of those top 2 quarterbacks. But again, I look back to a lot of big time quarterbacks weren't selected in the top 10. Weren't top 10 quarterbacks. You look at your Ben Roethlisberger. I believe he went in the middle of the first round. Patrick Mahomes, middle of the first round. Brett Favre, I'm not even sure where the hell he went. He later rounds, I think. I don't think he was a first round pick. Aaron Rodgers, end of first round. You can go on and on and on. Big time quarterbacks. Dan Marino, he dropped. Dan Marino dropped. He wasn't a number one overall pick. So you just don't know. It's hard. I know with all the analytics that we have today, I think it's easier to project who might be a decent quarterback. But even so, you look at some of these top quarterbacks that were picked over the last 2-3 seasons, and a good majority of those guys are not living up to their expectations. So I don't know. Even looking at yesterday's game against the Saints with Spencer Rattler playing QB, that's one guy. I think a lot of Raider Nation, including myself, talked about the Raiders. Should look to pick late in late rounds, third, fourth, fifth, sixth, whatever it would be. And first half yesterday, he looked very good. He did. I think going into halftime, he might have been like 11 to 13. It was a 13-10 game. He had the Saints in good position. He threw the ball well, and he moved well. He ran the ball well. But in the second half, the Raiders defense buttoned him up, and he looked like a third, fourth, fifth, sixth round pick then. So again, it's such a crapshoot. And nothing's a given. I just don't understand why you want your team to tank to get that number one overall pick. You pick your quarterback, and you end up like the Panthers, who aren't sure if they have a good quarterback or not. Or we end up like we did with off the Marcus Russell. It's I don't know. It's a tough. It's tough either way. It's tough to say, hey, tank. It's tough to say win and then lose that draft spot. But then again, the Raiders do have 11 picks coming up in this draft, so they do have draft capital. They do have tradable assets, and that's something I'm going to talk about a little bit coming up here. Got a couple more comments. We got our boy Steve, Commanders Gridiron. Commanders, big win yesterday, and I'm telling you, it was tight. I know my one buddy at work, he sweated that one out, and there's a lot of pacing and a lot of nervous minutes. He says, "Hi, Ken. Congrats on another season of great content. You as well, Steve. Guys, you got to check out the Commanders Gridiron. Normally on Tuesdays, you got to check it out. Steven does an absolutely fantastic job. Great job. He's super knowledgeable with the Commanders. Very knowledgeable about football, period, to be honest with you. And his show just flows. He's not like me. I stutter. I say a lot, and then I forget people's names, and I'm stuck. I'm like, God damn it. And then I start cursing just like that. But anyway, make sure you check out Commanders Gridiron. Even if you're not a Commanders fan, let's say your team's going to play the Commanders, or you just want to check up on the Commanders. Be sure to check Steven out in Commanders Gridiron here on Out of the Box Sports Entertainment, Facebook, YouTube, and X. Please like, follow, and subscribe. Click that notifications bell as well. Your shows were better than the Raiders were this year. There's a lot of things that were better than the Raiders this year, and I hope the Commanders make some noise in the playoffs. I really do. It's a good, young, exciting football team, and your quarterback should be our quarterback. That's it's unfortunate. The Raiders are going to be in the same spot they were last year. If they win that last game, coming up against the Chargers, the San Diego Chargers of Los Angeles. If the Raiders beat them, I'm sure it's going to drop us down even further. Right now, currently sitting at the 8th spot. It's a tough position. As a Raider fan, do you want to go out there and lose to the freaking Chargers? That's a tough pill to swallow. I hate the Chargers. I mean, I hate nobody more. I mean, and I don't use the H word a lot. I hate. I hate the Chargers. I say kind of. I hate the Chargers. Whatever. It's like I'm like talking about a salty mac and cheese or something. That's terrible mac and cheese. Whatever. I'll probably still eat it. But I hate the Denver Broncos. I hate with a capital H, a capital A, capital T, and a capital E. I hate the Denver Broncos. And so I'm glad it's not coming down to the Raiders and Broncos. If the Raiders have to tank against the Broncos to move up in the draft order, I would have none of it. I would have none of it. I would shut that shit down real quick. But anyway, it's Yeah, Jaden Daniels. It's unfortunate. It looked like it was meant to be for the Raiders and Jaden Daniels. All the connections and all that stuff is just couldn't figure out a way to move up. And like I said last season before the draft, there's no way they're gonna move up, especially if one of those teams feels like he's a top three quarterback. Why would they move? Why would you trade? Like, oh, I can get 3 years of first round picks from this team, or I can get 10 to 12 years of premium quarterback play. What are you going to take? You're going to take the 10 to 12 years of premium quarterback play, right? So that's one of the things I look at with this draft coming up. You know, two quarterbacks that are projected to go high in the draft. The top two quarterbacks that most experts are saying are the only ones that are expected to go in the first round. That should go in the first round are Shador and Cam Ward. Are those two guys? Are you 100% confident that one of those two guys uh, can be your franchise coach, can take you to the playoffs year in and year out, make you a contender year in and year out? Are you 100% confident? I am not. I don't think any Raider fan can say that they're 100% confident. Now, can you say one of those two quarterbacks can make you a better team? Now there's some hesitation. Say, oh yeah, maybe they can. You know, I'm not a big college football guy. I don't watch a whole lot of college football. Usually my Saturdays are fairly busy, or I just don't have the opportunity to watch college football. So, so when it comes down to it, it's just you're not sure. You make the pick, you make the deals, and it is what it is. You know, the cards fall where they fall. But that's why I hate the thing tank. That's why I hate tanking. It's like you just don't know. Like, why lose all those games and look like the schmucks that we've looked like for the past 20 years? Continue looking like that. Uh, just for a potential another draft bust. Also, again, like I just said, you can look at it. It could potentially be the pick that gets us out of the mud. I don't know. And it's one of the great things about the draft, actually, that you just don't know what you're getting. You think you're getting a premium player. You think you're getting a primo player. The Raiders last year, Brock Bowers, right? Everybody, they already have a tight end, Michael Mayer. Blah 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 blah. We have a record-breaking tight end now. He broke the single season tight end record. He broke the rookie receiving record. That's receivers and tight ends. He broke the Raiders franchise receiving record. That's not for rookies. That's overall. So we got a pretty good one there. So it is what it is. We didn't get Jaden Daniels, but I think we probably got the next best thing. I mean, quarterback wise from last year, I don't remember exactly who was all picked, but Jaden Daniels is the first one that comes to mind because of the Commanders, because of Steven and the Commanders' gridiron here, but also because of his connection to the Raiders, and that was a pretty good pick. So I mean, the other picks, I don't remember who they were. Like I said, to kind of rank them right now off the top of my head, it's something we could do later on down the road. But you just don't know. And I think Brock Bowers turned out to be a pretty good pick. He's a franchise player. He's going to be a uh, a major threat for many years to come. Hopefully, that's after was it 5 years the Raiders have control for. Hopefully, he can be re-signed before that and extended out pretty far, and for a good chunk of change where he doesn't go anywhere. Rob says that the people in Las Vegas are pissed off the draft stock has dropped. Sounds like Pierce will get one more year. I think Pierce should get one more year. And I revert back to the Dan Campbell. I don't want to say experiment, but Dan Campbell's tenure so far in Detroit. It did start off well for Dan Campbell. A lot of people question Dan Campbell. Yeah, you'd go out there, you'd run through a wall for Dan Campbell. The way you come out to the press conference after another close loss or whatever. And when he would talk to the press, and you could see the emotion in his face and stuff. Now you don't get that from Pierce, but the team is playing hard for him yet. The team is putting everything they have out there for him. We had the Chiefs. The Chiefs. Dead to rights. We had them. What happened. That is what it is. The Falcons again. We should have lost that game by 3 or 4 touchdowns, but we were still in that game. That defense was still playing hard. Offensively sucked ass until, for whatever reason, until the very end. The Raiders had a chance to beat the Falcons. They had a chance to win that game, but came up short. If AOC starts in that game, the Raiders beat the Falcons. And we're talking about the potential of a 3-game win streak. Or no, we'd be talking about a 3-game win streak then. I mean, if the Raiders don't fumble that snap against the Chiefs, if and buts were candy and nuts, I get it. But if the Raiders don't fumble that snap against the Chiefs, hell, we're talking about a 4-game win streak with Aiden O'Connell. And I'm going to get to Aiden O'Connell in a minute here after I talk Raiders and Saints coming up in a couple minutes. But it's something interesting there. What if the Raiders don't need to draft a quarterback? And again, we'll talk about it in a minute. But yeah, I think the Raiders should give Pierce one more year at least, just because you just don't know. They're playing hard for him. Dan Campbell is able to turn things around. I'm not going to say Antonio Pierce is a Dan Campbell as good as a coach as Dan Campbell is or appears to be. But you can't just keep with the turnover with the coaches. You just can't. You can't give the guy 1 year. McDaniels, it's different. It was different with Josh McDaniels because he already had a track record as coaching. The team gave up on him. The team absolutely despised it. Now, I think the team was being a little bit bitchy about it, a little bit over bitchy, being a bunch. I should say a bunch of bitches about it. And what I mean by that is, oh, he made it, kind of, you know, it was robotic in there, or it was stuffy. It was business, only, or there was no flex. Like, what have we done in the last 20 years to deserve a coach to come in and be a player friendly coach? The Raiders haven't done anything for a guy like that. Maybe a buttoned up, type of coach is what they needed. Obviously it wasn't. They revolted and that was it. It was trash. It was some of the worst football I've seen in a few years, to be honest with you. So they continue playing hard for Pierce. They still want Pierce there to Pierce. We just need to figure out the offensive coordinator situations, and offensive line play is a huge part there. But I think that's a big part of it. Our defense played like trash the first half of the season this year. For the first 2/3 of the season, I would say. They played fairly well, probably since the bye week. I would say that last game was against um, the Bengals before the bye. I feel like they've played pretty decent. I'd have to go back and look for sure, but I feel like they've played pretty decent since the bye week. Probably top 15 type defense. They've held the teams in check for the most part. But I think Pierce should get another year. Steven says, thanks for the kind words. Because of your awesome season, we're projected to draft like 22 or something. Big difference from number 2 last year. Yes. And that's a thing. When you get that franchise quarterback, you're not going to see early picks anymore unless you trade up. I'm curious to see where everyone falls in line for the draft. You guys did kill it picking Bowers. We can all agree we hate the Broncos and the Queefs. Yes, we hate them both. I hate the Broncos more than the Chiefs. I'm an Andy Reid fan, and it pisses me off when he comes up with creative plays against the Raiders and makes them look foolish. But it is what it is. So, and Patrick Mahomes. I hate Travis Kelce, and that's a capital H. As if he were on the Broncos, and it has nothing to do with Taylor Swift. I have no problem with TV showing Taylor Swift 50 times a game. I don't care. That doesn't matter to me. When you watch a Raiders game, how many times do they show Gorilla Rilla and all those crazy Raider fans in the black hole? They show them a lot, which I think is fantastic. That's great. So if they show Taylor Swift, that's a Chiefs thing, all right? Chiefs are about a pop singer. The Raiders are about characters. So, that's their thing. And Taylor Swift is the biggest name, biggest icon in the world. So I have no problem with it. And she's easy on the eyes. Let's just say she's easy on the eyes. I'm not going to say she's beautiful, but she's not ugly either. And she's a PA gal. Come on. She grew up not that far from where I am. So, yeah. But I hate the Broncos way more than I hate the Chiefs. I hate Broncos more than I hate a lot of things in life. So, Dan says maybe they can, but who knows? Giants fans are flipping out. Dan, he does a Giant show here, the Big Blue Power Hour. Giants fans, I know your co-host Evan, he was freaking out. He was pissed off the Giants were playing so well. He didn't want them to win. He wants them to tank for that top pick. He wants either Cam Ward or Shedeur Sanders. I know a few weeks ago I talked about the report that I heard that I read was that the Giants were higher on Cam Ward than they were on Shedeur Sanders. So I don't know if that's still a thing. You'll have to excuse my snorting. When I start talking too much, my nose starts to run a little bit, and it's just a habit. But anyway, but yeah, some Giants fans are flipping out. Again, Dan, I think, in our group chat, Out of the Box Sports group chat, I think we were on the same side. You don't know. You just don't know. if it was a guarantee that if the Raiders got a number one or number two pick, it was a guarantee that they're going to get one of those quarterbacks, and it's a guarantee that that quarterback is going to bring 10 to 12 years of premium quarterback play. I'd say lose every game then. Lose every game. Tank one season for a good 10 to 15 seasons. You just don't know, though. How many times have we been in that position where we could have a top-notch quarterback, and either we either don't draft that top-notch quarterback, or we do draft him, off the Marcus Russell, and it turns to shit. It's happened way too many times. And again, a few weeks ago, I went over the Raiders drafts from 2004, I think it was 3 or 4, all the way up to last year, and more often than not, their first-round picks were garbage. Were absolute garbage. So, and you could attribute that to Al. Those were Al's final years. And I'm not going to speak ill. I love Al Davis. Every Raider fan loves Al Davis. But there were a lot of bad picks there. Or you could look at Reggie, or you could look at who was the draft guru that was with Bruden. I can't think of his name right now. But you can look at those guys who drafted well later rounds, but early rounds, so Max Crosby wasn't a first round pick. So he was a later round pick. We picked a great first round pick, Khalil Mack, Amari Cooper, traded away for whatever reason. So I don't know. It's a crapshoot. And the Raiders still, there's still opportunities where they could move up in the draft. Even if they win this game, they drop to, let's say, like 11th or something like that in the draft order. There's still opportunity for them to move up. Currently, right now, the Patriots are picking 1, I believe it is. The Patriots are 1, and I can't remember who number 2 is. But the Patriots don't need a quarterback. They picked Drake May last year, so you take them off the board, and that could be a potential trade partner right there. We do have Tom Brady in the office, so that's a possible connection. And we've always had a decent working relationship for the most part with the Patriots, so that's always a possibility. Maybe a package together a bunch of picks and say, well, here you go, Mr. Patriots. That used to be the Patriot way when Belichick was there, that they'd stockpile draft picks and they'd draft back, or they'd trade back, and pick a bunch of skilled players that fit roles. So, excuse me. So, all right, we got Greg Lira checking in. What's up, Greg? Thanks for checking the show out, buddy. I appreciate it very much. Give us a follow there on Out of the Box Sports Network. On YouTube, OOT Box Sports. My personal YouTube as well. The Batcave _OOTBSE. I'm not going to get into that. That's a long one. But he says more. I am looking at the draft. Raiders should get Ashton Gentry or go defense pieces like defensive tackle or linebacker. And again, I'm not a big college guy, so a lot of these names I don't know until I start looking at the draft. Usually after the season, after the college season's over and the Raiders season's over, which is usually around the same time, early January, unfortunately, then I start kind of, all right, what are the draft gurus saying? Or they're saying this, or what do the Raiders need? Then I start picking apart who I think the Raiders should look at. And usually I come up with a couple different shows with different guys' names and stuff like that. I know I heard Ashton Gentry's name before. There's also the Travis Hunter kid that out of Colorado, a lot of people are high on. He's a two-way player, I guess. He's one of the top cornerbacks that supposedly in the country. I was watching, I was at my brother's house the other day watching Colorado and BYU, and Travis Hunter was playing some receiver and playing cornerback. So he goes both ways there. You don't see that often anymore, but it seems like there's some highly skilled athletes out there that are looking to do that more and more. So I wouldn't be too surprised if we see more and more of that in the coming years, as long as there isn't like major injuries and whatnot. But looking at defensive pieces, defensive tackle is a sore spot. Of course, this year the Raiders struggled again stopping the run. There were a couple of games where they did well against the run. They held teams under 100 yards. Again, the Saints did a hell of a job against the Saints in the run. Looking right here, they held the Saints to 81 yards rushing, and 46 of those were from Spencer Rattler scrambling. So, they did a hell of a job against the Saints. And it's not like that game was out of hand where they had a pass. Raiders just bottled up any kind of run. They did a good job. Linebacker, yeah, it's a tough call. Some people are really high on Divine Diablo and Robert Spillane. I'm high on Spillane. I was high on Diablo. I'm kind of easing on that a little bit. I feel like he's had a rough year. Spillane, I feel like he had a rough first half in yesterday's game. I seen him a couple times getting pushed back a good bit. He got lost in coverage a couple times, which is one of the knocks that he had against him coming from Pittsburgh, was that he wasn't a very good coverage linebacker. And then he proceeds to have a couple interceptions in the first season with the Raiders. I think he has an interception or two this year with the Raiders. So so he's gotten better at it, but still I like the way Spillane plays. And of course, Tommy Eichenberg just drafted him last year. A lot of people were very high on him. Didn't really get to see him much, if at all, this year. Not that I can even remember, to be 100% honest with you. Is he the linebacker of the future? But you need more depth at linebacker, need more playmaker at linebacker. But that's definitely a spot. I would probably put linebacker ahead of defensive tackle, to be honest with you. I feel like, if we had a healthy Wilkerson, Christian Wilkinson, I don't know, is it Wilkerson or Wilkinson? It's Wilkinson. If he was healthy, maybe it's a little bit different. I feel like Adam Butler had a pretty good season again this year, but he's not a big run stopper. He's more of a get up the field kind of defensive tackle, pressure your quarterback. He had a half a sack yesterday as well. So we'll have to wait and see. And the guy, the draft guru that was with Gruden, was Mike Mayock. Yes, thank you. For some reason, I kept thinking Dave. And I'm like, it's not Dave. But that's all. The only name that came to the head was Dave. I'm like, it's not. It's definitely not Dave. Greg says, more I'm thinking about, we don't need to trade up. We can do the same trade back to get more picks. Jackson Dart, Quinn Ewers might be a decent third-round quarterback, possibly Jalen Milroe if we trade back. Yeah, and that's the other thing, like I mentioned earlier in the show, Greg, if you were watching or if you joined us late, there's been many quarterbacks that have been late first-round picks or late-round picks that turned out pretty well. And then now there's probably fewer, that have than have not. There's a lot of quarterbacks been picked in the third, fourth, fifth, sixth round that didn't turn out to be anything, just clipboard holders. So there's been a lot more quarterbacks that have not turned out to be a really good quarterback than there has that have been, if that makes any sense. I know what I'm trying to say. But they're there. They are there. Jackson Dart, Quinn Ewers, the kid from Texas, I believe. That's a name that pops up a lot that I hear is okay, is decent. Then I hear he's not good. Then I hear he's really good. So I'm not really sure. Jalen Milroe, I hear a lot of people saying that he should stay in school for one more year, because I think he'd be an early out. He'd have a year of eligibility left yet. So I'm not sure what he's going to do, if he said he's going for the draft or not, if he declared for the draft or not yet. I'm not really sure. But there is possibilities. There are quarterbacks that are going to drop that nobody's projecting to be, first. Like I said, first round, we're looking at Shedeur Sanders and the kid from Miami, whose name is gone from my head again. And these other guys, Jackson Dart, Quinn Ewers, is a name that I hear a lot of, and Jalen Milroe. Those guys are probably going to be like third, fourth, fifth round guys. So there's going to be a lot of picks between quarterbacks. You think that's what you think, but then all of a sudden, there's 4 quarterbacks in the first round gone. You just don't know. There might be quarterbacks at the at like the Senior Bowls, or those Army whatever, like a Senior Bowl or whatever, All-Star Bowl, whatever the hell that want to be, East-West games, North-South games, or whatever, that impress coaches that nobody's thinking of. And then you go to the combine, they might, the underwear, Olympics they call it, or whatever, that impress coaches that all of a sudden their draft stock rises. They might have been a late second round pick. Okay, now they're early second round. Well, then the team's worried. Okay, well, if this team gets this guy, they're going to go pick this guy in the early second round. I need to pick this guy in the first round now. And that's how those guys get bumped up. So you don't know. You just don't know. It looks like there's only 2 guys that are going to go in the first round, according to the experts. But we'll end up with 4. Who knows? And then it'll be 4 in the top 10, and that's a wasted pick. What people will be saying, who knows? So, all right, I'm going to jump off this for real quick to go over the Raiders and Saints here. Raiders defeat the Saints yesterday, 25-10. If you're not aware, you're aware now. Just looking at some stats here. Aiden O'Connell, 20 of 35, 242 yards, 2 touchdowns, no picks, 89.2 QBR. He looked really good. He did have some passes that were not very good. That probably should have been picked off or could have been picked off if they're playing a better team. But for the most part, he was accurate. He was efficient. He's smart with the ball. Got the ball out on time. Moved in the pocket very well. I thought he moved. He looked good. He rolled out when he had to. He moved up when he had to. Only sacked once, and of course, if you've seen that sack, it was him. Dropped back and kind of he didn't know which way to go, and then kind of just ran backwards, and it kind of fell down. So, and it is what it is. He wasn't going to get out of that. I don't think. I'm not. There wasn't many quarterbacks that were going to get out of that. So he looked pretty good, and they took some downfield shots, which we haven't seen all season with Minshew in there and stuff. So that was good to see. Amir Abdullah, that was the big star of the game here was Amir Abdullah. 20 carries, 115 yards, 5.8 yards per carry, 3 catches, 32 yards. His first career 100-yard game, which boggles my mind. I've heard of Amir Abdullah before he became a Raider. He's been around for a while now, 100 and some games. I think it's 104, 105 games he's played in. And that's his first 100-yard rushing game. That's really surprising. But I guess he's always been kind of used as a third down kind of back. So maybe that's what it is. He's more of a receiving threat than anything. But a fantastic game. He did leave the game early due to injury. Went back to the locker room. I haven't seen any updates on him yet. I just woke up. I work night shift, so if you don't know that, you know now. But I just woke up, so I have no idea what's going on. If there's any updates or anything like that. I took notes from yesterday, and so what I have is what I have. Alexander Madison, 10 carries, 32 yards, 3.2 yards per carry, 1 catch for 6 yards. They ran him a lot outside, and there was nothing going. All the Raiders' rush yards, I felt like were up the between the tackles, right up the middle. Great job by Jackson Powers Johnson, Andre James, Dylan Parham. When he was in there, I know he did get yanked early for bad penalty, which when you look at it, the referee just caught the second man. He happened to be the second man. There's a little bit of a shoving match. He's trying to break it up. And the one Saints player shove him in the face, and when he shoved him in the face back, and that's what the referee saw. That's what we got the 15-yard penalty for. It is what it is. But also Cody Whitehair was in there for a bit as well. Those 3 guys up there really controlled it. Pass protection wise, I thought the whole offensive line did pretty decent. Again, only giving up 1 sack, and when Aiden O'Connell was in trouble, he was able to move around the pocket. There was enough of a pocket for him either to step up or move out of. And it doesn't look good when Aiden O'Connell does it, but it gets a job done. So another big star from yesterday, Brock Bowers, 7 catches, 77 yards on 7 targets, 100% catch rate right there. And several records broken. He broke the Raiders franchise single season record. That's not just for rookies, that's overall, which, all those years we had Tim Brown and stuff like that, Jerry Rice for a few years, Fred Blitnikoff. Now it's Brock Bowers. It's at the top by himself. So that's impressive. It was Darren Waller. He broke Darren Waller's record. Now he's the all-time tight end rookie receiving leader, past Mike Ditka. And now he's also the all-time rookie receiving pass catcher for receiving yards. And I don't know if for catches or not. I'm not really sure. But he passed Puka Nacua from last season. I think it was last season. So, and he has to keep catching because you have Malik Neighbors from the Giants right behind him. So Malik Neighbors is not that far behind him. So Brock Bowers got to keep catching and keep getting those yards. And as long as he's suited up, I do believe the Raiders will make him the main target. Jacoby Myers, good game from Jacoby. Some pretty big catches, 5 catches, 61 yards. He had a touchdown, 9 targets. Marshall Jr., he had 1 catch, 28 yards. You never see that guy. It was a nice catch. I think was it a sideline catch, if I remember correctly, kind of over the shoulders. Really nice catch. But yeah, it was nice. It's good to see a different receiver rotating in there. Marshall Jr., Trey Tucker, 2 catches, 24 yards, a touchdown. They targeted Trey 8 times. A lot of those were down the field shots. So they were looking for him, and give the Saints credit. They had him covered pretty well. Kool-Aid McKinstry and the Honey Badger, Tyrann Mathieu, they had him. They had him bottled up pretty well. The deep looks and stuff like that. So give them credit. Michael Mayer, 1 catch, 14 yards on 2 targets. I still like to see them get Mayer involved a little bit more. I feel like he can give you, four or 5 catches a game, a solid 30 yards, just to keep the linebackers honest, to where they're not dropping right away trying to take out any of those crossing routes or medium middle of the field type routes that you might see at Brock Bowers. And if you have that guy underneath, they have to come up and cover him then, to start getting to him a little bit more to keep the linebackers honest. Defensively, Spillane, 8 tackles, 1 sack, 2 tackles for loss, 2 passes defensed. Like I said, first half, I didn't think he looked very good. Second half, a lot more active, and he was pretty stout second half. DeCam Richardson, he did a pretty good job on the outside. He had 6 tackles as well, 1 pass defensed. Trayvon Merrick, 5 tackles. Nate Hobbs, 4 tackles. Nate Hobbs had some great tackles. Isaiah Polamau, defensive star yesterday, absolutely. 4 tackles, 2 passes defensed. And, man, he separated man from ball a couple times, some hard hits, legal hits. Isaiah Polamau, he's no joke. I would not be surprised if he's a starter next year for the Raiders. He didn't start early in the season. The injuries kind of led to him getting some starting time now. And he's always been a fan favorite since he's been in Las Vegas. And, absolutely Isaiah Polamau, he's no joke. The dude is no joke. Adam Butler, 4 tackles. He had a half a sack. I thought he did a good job up the middle. Chason, he had a decent game rushing. He did leave the game once early in the game due to injury, but he came back. And again, the Raiders rushing, I thought they did a good job putting pressure on Spencer Rattler. I think that was a team. I think we had 4 sacks. Tyree Wilson, he had a half a sack. That was with Adam Butler. Thomas Harper, he's cornerback. He had a half a sack and an interception. Good game from him. Andre Carter, he had a half a sack as well. So Jack Jones, he had an interception. Daniel Carlson, 4 for 4 on field goals, along of 54. And Carlson, for the most part, is a money field goal kicker, but I feel like he's struggled a bit this year. There was times where he struggled. You go back to that game. I think it was it against the Chiefs where he missed the 4 field goals, or the Broncos, or something like that. But for the most part, he is a money kicker. He did have a PAT blocked. I don't know if you put that on him or not, but that was the Raiders stats. Looking at the Saints, Spencer Rattler has finished 20 of 36, 218, 1 touchdown, 2 interceptions, 3 rush, 46 yards. I think he had 30 some rush yards in the first half. And again, I think he was 11 of 13 in the first half. The Raiders really bottled him up really, really, really good in the second half. Great job. Clyde Edwards-Helaire, their top rusher, 5 carries, 20 yards. Juwan Johnson, he had 6 catches, 66 yards. Foster Moreau, it's great to see Foster Moreau again. I was always a big Foster Moreau fan, former tight end for the Raiders. He was the number 2 tight end when Darren Waller was there. And I've always liked Foster Moreau. He left the team, then he was diagnosed with was it Hodgkin's lymphoma or something like that? Coming out of that, back to playing again. Good for him. He had 3 catches, 47 yards. He had a touchdown catch. Dante Pettis, 3 catches, 27 yards. Cam Jordan, he had a sack. Kool-Aid McKinstry, he played well for the most part, I thought. Tyrann Mathieu, he played well. Yeah, there's a couple missed pass interference calls, I think, but got to give credit where credit's due. He's a hell of a player. He's been a hell of a player for a long time. Pete Werner, he had 13 tackles for the Saints, as well as Demario Davis. He had 13 tackles and a tackle for loss. Looking at team stats, first downs, Raiders 22, Saints 13. This was the big stat for the Raiders, I think. And I was going to comment it out on X yesterday as I was typing it up, and my little thumbs couldn't move fast enough. They went ahead and they blew a third down there on the 3-yard line. I'm like, I can't put this out there. I'm not going to put this out here now. It pisses me off. But third down conversions, the Raiders were fantastic yesterday, 10 of 18, especially in the first half. The first half, they were very, very good. And the Raiders defense did a hell of a job on third down, which has always been a struggle for them this season. The Saints were 1 for 10 on third downs. So great job there. Raiders 74 plays, to the Saints 53 plays, and you go back to those third down conversions. That a new set of downs, move those sticks, plays pile up. They started the game off with, I think it was like a 15 or 16 play drive that led to a field goal. That's something that has to change next season. We need touchdowns instead of field goals. As much as we like Daniel Carlson, we like touchdowns more. Yards, Raiders 388 yards, Saints 269 yards. Pass yards, the Raiders had 232, Saints 188. Rush yards 156, Saints 81. And this is what the Raiders wanted all season. This is what it should have. Again, it's against a bad team. The Saints are a bad team, a lot of injuries, and they're just bad right now. But that's a stat line that we were hoping we would see game in and game out for the Raiders. 232 pass yards, 150 rush yards. Good balance. But that just wasn't to be. I struggled running the ball for the first half of the season, and passing was not that far ahead of it either. So penalties 3 for 20 for the Raiders, 10 for 85 for the Saints. Here's another big one. No turnovers for the Raiders, and they got 2 from the Saints, 2 interceptions. So the Raiders were +2 in a turnover margin. That's huge. And the time of possession, huge difference here. 37 minutes and 50 seconds for the Raiders, 22 minutes and 10 seconds for the Saints. So huge game for the Raiders. Great job. If I had to give game balls out, I would give one out to Amir Abdullah. Absolutely. Brock Bowers. Absolutely. Isaiah Polamau. And then Aiden O'Connell. I thought O'Connell had a very good game. He'd get a half a ball, I think. He had a very good game. But there's some, if they're playing against a better team, there's some passes there that might have gotten picked, but your opponent's who's in front of you, and it is what it is. But for the most part, he had a very good game. Greg says Daniel Carlson is good in fantasy. Yeah, and I would absolutely. I didn't play fantasy this year. Actually, the first year in a long time I didn't play fantasy football. But I know last year I took Carlson, and the year before I took Carlson. Usually, the Raiders field goal kickers I end up taking because the Raiders kick a lot of field goals and a lot of long field goals. That's the other thing. They usually kick a lot of long field goals. And if you're in one of those fantasy leagues that give extra points for 50-plus yard or 40-plus yard field goals, they're the ones to be in. You get yourself a Raiders field goal kicker, and usually they're pretty good. So all right. So, yeah, that was the Raiders and Saints. Raiders coming up next week, finish out the season, week 17 or week 18 against the San Diego Chargers of Los Angeles. And who knows what they're going to do, if they're going to be resting guys. If they're not, I'm not really sure. We'll have to wait and see. I don't know if they can move up seating-wise or if it's even worth it for them. But they already have a spot clinched. So I think there's one spot open. Or no, I don't think there's any spots open. Is there? No, there's one spot open yet. Yeah, there's one spot open yet. And I think the Broncos are sitting in the driver's seat for that. They have to win their last game. If they would have beat the Bengals, the Broncos would have clinched. But since they lost to the Bengals, that keeps a bunch of teams alive, one game back. So like the Dolphins are alive yet. The Bengals are alive yet. Dolphins, Bengals. I feel like there's one other team that's still alive. I don't know. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter who it is. It's not the Raiders. It doesn't matter. All right. So looking at that game, watching the last few weeks that Aiden O'Connell has played in, he didn't play in the Atlanta game. As Raider fans, I throw this out here for any Raider fans that maybe watch this down the road. Maybe they'll watch it later in the week. Whenever I check at my show stats, I do see later in the week, the views have gone up. Whether or not it's just somebody watching it for 5 seconds, I have no idea. But anyway, how would you feel if the Raiders go into next season with Aiden O'Connell as their starting quarterback? Let's say they draft a quarterback, and they say that Aiden O'Connell is a starting quarterback. We're going to sit this guy, let him learn a little bit. You have Tom Brady, guiding him or whatever Tom Brady's role in this is going to be. Because if you have to feel like Tom Brady's going to have a large role in selecting a quarterback if the Raiders do select a quarterback, or even if they look to trade for a quarterback. That's always I don't know what kind of free agent quarterbacks are going to be out there or whatever. I know there was talk of Kirk Cousins in Atlanta. They're gonna step away from Kirk Cousins. Cut or release or whatever. Um, I'm not sure. What Kirk Cousins has left or not. It was pretty bad for Kirk Cousins there the last so many weeks of the season with the Falcons. And why the Falcons gave him such a big contract is beyond me. Uh, he's coming off a Achilles tear. It's one of those injuries that it takes time to recover from. I mean, Aaron Rodgers, he hasn't looked the same this season either. And whether or not that's because the Jets are a bad team or he's just bad quarterback play because he's still coming back from that injury, I'm not sure. I guess we'll have to wait and see what happens next season. But there's going to be quarterbacks out there in the market as well. So do you roll with Aiden O'Connell? Select a quarterback. Either in the first round where you're at. If the Raiders are able to move up, or if they're selecting midway through the first round, just it is what it is. Or you pick a quarterback later rounds or whatever. Uh, are you all right with Aiden O'Connell as your starting quarterback? I am. To be honest with you, I don't. Again, I like Aiden O'Connell. I think he can be a good starting quarterback, but I don't think he's the type of quarterback that can take you to where you need to be. I think he can take you to the playoffs. Absolutely. You surround him a good running game, good offensive line. You surround him with a good defense. He can get you to the playoffs. I have no doubt. Can he get you to the Super Bowl? I don't think so. I just don't think it's all there. He can make the big throws. We've seen it. The games that he has started, he can make those big throws to the sidelines. Those pros type throws. How about pros type throws? There we go. I like that. Um, he can make all the throws. He absolutely can. And again, pocket awareness, I feel like has gotten much better. I just don't think he has the it factor to get the Raiders to the Super Bowl. To the playoffs, absolutely, absolutely. But to the Super Bowl, I don't know. Hey, Aunt Kim checking in. What's up? What's up, Aunt Kim? How you doing? She says no more has-beens. Stick with AOC. Now, Kim, would you draft a quarterback? So the Raiders are picking 8 right now, Kim. Top 2 quarterbacks projected to be gone very early. Top 3, 4 picks, whatever. It depends on how the draft how the order shakes down and who has what after this week. So if the Raiders drop back, if they win next week or if they lose or whatever, they're outside the top 5, and those top 2 quarterbacks, Sanders and I can't think of the other freaking guy's name now. The kid from Miami, they're gone. Are you okay with taking a quarterback later rounds and having that be your future? Or are you just saying, hey, we're going to do what we did last year, best player available, and just going from there? So, thank you, Greg. Greg bailing me out once again, Cam Ward. I said his name like 6 times earlier in the show, and it's like for some reason it escapes me now. Cam Ward. It's an easy name, too. It's not like it's Mustafa Geronimo Alejandro or something, something hard to remember. I don't know. That's a stupid name to make up. But like what are your thoughts on maybe not even picking a quarterback next year? Just riding through it again. Do we look free agency? Aiden O'Connell, is he it? Now? And the thing that pisses me off the most about this season, and I don't think I'm the only one. I know I'm not the only one. Is that I sat here, before the start of the season when they announced Gardner Minshew as the starting quarterback, and I said I am surprised. I thought Aiden O'Connell would get the nod. I felt like he outplayed Gardner Minshew in the games that we've seen on TV. The stuff that I read online, Aiden O'Connell was ahead of Gardner Minshew, played, showed out better in practices than Gardner Minshew, in scrimmages that we don't see, showed out better than Gardner Minshew. And for whatever reason, again, you could inexperience as a coach. I don't know. But Antonio Pierce went with Gardner Minshew, said he wants to get off to a fast start. He feels like with his experience and mobility, he can give the Raiders the best chance to win those first few games. I don't. Yeah, I disagreed then, and I did obviously disagree now. We've seen how it went, right? Actually, those first 4 games are 2-2, so maybe not as bad as you think, but still, after that, it was trash. It was garbage. Garbage quarterback play, and they kept going to him. They kept going to Minshew. I don't understand it. Um, it should have been Aiden O'Connell's job to lose in the first place, especially after they didn't draft. We couldn't get a quarterback in the draft. It should have been Aiden O'Connell's job to lose, and I didn't feel like he lost it in the preseason. He should have been the week one starter, and that's the thing that pisses me off the most about this, because we are right back to where we were last season. This is the same exact spot we were last season, same exact spot. What do we have in Aiden O'Connell? We had a chance to find out what we had in Aiden O'Connell week one when games mattered, because now they don't matter. They don't matter. People say they're throwaway games. Teams are out there trying to win. They absolutely 100%. Players are out there trying to win. Coaches are out there trying to win, because you're putting film out there. You're putting your name out there. You don't want to look like garbage doing it. So these games matter to them. They don't anywhere else. They don't. There's no pressure. It doesn't matter. So same spot we were last year with this now. And if that's what pisses me off the most about it, it shouldn't have been like that. It should not have been like that. You knew what you had in Gardner Minshew. You knew what you had in Gardner Minshew. Everybody knew. What did we have in Aiden O'Connell? That was the big question, and we messed it up. We messed it up again. So now we're going through an offseason saying, all right, last 5 weeks of the season, Aiden O'Connell started 4 of those, looked pretty good. Had us in position to win those games, or we did win those games. What do we have in Aiden O'Connell? And again, we're going to go into the offseason not knowing what we have in Aiden O'Connell. You're going to have one half of the fan base saying, he can be a starter. You have the other half saying he could be a good backup, and that's it. Nothing more. We don't know. You don't know. So it's tough. And that's the most frustrating part about this, is not knowing what we have at quarterback currently, when we had the opportunity to know what we have at quarterback. We botched it there. I think that's the biggest botch that Antonio Pierce did this season that set us on this track. And I don't know if they're chalking up to inexperience or not, but I think that was his biggest fumble. That was his biggest mistake he made this season. What was the not starting Aiden O'Connell week one? He should have been named week one starter after the second preseason game and just been done with it. But we let it drag on. I think they announced it before the third preseason game, and it was one of those things that just lingering. Who's the starting? Who's the is it this? Is it this? It should have been Aiden O'Connell. And that's not even just me going back saying, in hindsight being, no, I said last year, before the season started, Aiden O'Connell should have been the quarterback, should be the quarterback, but it's where we're at now. Kimberly says, I still think they will trade, pay whatever is needed. They will get first pick or damn close. And I'll talk about trade in a second here. Greg says, I have no hard feelings about AOC, but I was like, why we not start AOC out of the gate over Minshew? Yes. And then again, why? I don't understand. I felt like AOC won the job fair and square, but because he didn't have the experience that Minshew had, that's why I felt like they went with Minshew. It doesn't make any sense to me. It doesn't make any sense. You put out the best players that give you the chance to win, and Minshew was outplayed by Aiden O'Connell. Was he outplayed by a lot? No, but he was outplayed. I don't know where else you can go from that. Greg says, like that dude from Tennessee, quarterback with a hard name. Who is it? I can't. I don't even know who you're. Are you talking about the Tennessee Titans? The kid that they drafted, or there was a quarterback they had last year that came in late last season. That was kind of like I don't know if he was a free agent rookie or if he was drafted late. But yeah, I don't remember his name either. But they have the Mayo guy, the Mayo kid that likes mayonnaise a lot, that puts it in his coffee and stuff. That's weird. It puts it in his coffee. Kim says first round late quarterback pick is my guess. Yeah, if it came, I don't know when you tuned in, but earlier Greg put out there a couple of other quarterbacks. Jackson Dart, Quinn Ewers, Jalen Milroe. I know there's a guy, I can't remember who the hell it was, but there was somebody did a profile on this one quarterback that's going to get a lot of attention um, leading up to the draft, and I can't remember who it was or what school it was. Uh, so it doesn't even really matter. It's just like in one ear and out the other for me, I guess. I don't know. Greg says this offseason might well build to AOC strength and draft a quarterback late first or second, third round to groom behind Aiden O'Connell. All right. I'm talking about Tennessee College. Okay. Nico. Oh, Jesus Christ. Lama Leva. Lama Dama Ding Dong. Lama Lieva. Yeah. The volunteer. I mean, I'm assuming the Tennessee Volunteers. I don't know. Again, I don't watch a whole lot of college football, so I have no idea. And I'm glad I don't watch. I don't watch Tennessee play. I did watch Tennessee. I watched Tennessee play Alabama for a little bit earlier this season. It was a big game. I think I feel like Tennessee ended up winning that game, but I could be wrong. But I don't remember the quarterback's name at all. But one name that's been popping up recently, Kim was talking about draft trade to move up in the draft possibly, has been Max Crosby. That's a name that's popped up over the last few days. He's made some comments or whatever about money or something like that. I listened to the interview, and I don't know, it's just one snippet of the interview, so I don't know what was asked before, what they were talking about before, what they were talking about after. So I'm not going to go ahead and say, well, he means this or he means that. I have no idea what he's talking about. If he's talking about his contract, somebody else's contract, wanting a new contract or whatever, I'm not really sure. I have no idea. But that's one name, and it's funny. A Giants fan, one of my fellow Out of the Box sports podcasters, Evan Loro. He does the Giants show, the Big Blue Power Hour here with Dan Connor. Not this past, I think, was it this past season? Or was the season before? He said, the Raiders should trade Max Crosby, and he said it on the Silver and Black Lair. And I said, absolutely not. He's the face of our franchise. And he goes, you probably get a couple first round picks for him, right now. And I said it wouldn't be worth it. And so now you kind of look at it, it's like, I don't know. Again, I'm still hard to the no with that. No way you trade Max Crosby. He's the face of our franchise. He is Mr. Raider right now. But if you were to trade him, it wouldn't hurt to kind of float it out there and say, what would you give me for this guy? Maybe you can move up to the top, top pick, top two in the draft if you feel like Cam Ward or Shedeur Sanders is your franchise quarterback. Again, I said it before. If you feel like one of those guys are your franchise quarterback, it's worth giving up, multiple first round picks, for years, because you don't have to worry about quarterback then. But it has to pan out. And again, I'm a hard no against it. But that's a name that's been floated out there. And, what do you think the Raiders would get for Max Crosby? You think it would be a first round and a couple other picks? Would it be multiple first round picks? Would it not even be a first round pick? He's a game changer when he's out there. But I'll tell you what, these last few weeks where he hasn't played with the Raiders, he's been on IR, healing up from that high ankle sprain. I think he had surgery and stuff. But the Raiders have done, the defensive line has done fairly well, at least putting pressure on the quarterback, and getting to the quarterback. They haven't done all that bad. They've done, fairly well. So, is he needed? I still say yes. Get him and Christian Wilkinson back, and restart that, start that engine back up and see what we can get out of it. It was kind of a dud this season, especially early on, and it didn't turn out the way we wanted to. But then you can kind of you saw glimpses of what it could be with those two guys playing together. Again, losing Malcolm Kuntz before the season even started, did that hurt? Did that not hurt? Not really sure. Chase on, he's had a pretty solid season so far. I was hoping to see Tyree Wilson step up a little bit more. I haven't really seen that, but I think for a seventh pick, you're hoping that he'd be able to take over the other side and be your other Max Crosby. But we haven't seen any glimpses of that, to be honest with you. So, Greg says, what about the idea of trading back up or leapfrogging some teams in the second round to getting Jalen Milrow. And I'm for that 100%, 100%, especially second round and beyond. I'm all for jumping up, getting as high as you can in each round to try to get what you want or best player available. And if it's quarterback need and Milrow still sitting there, and you feel like that Milrow can, if you feel like Milrow is a better quarterback option than what you have on your roster currently, or can be a better option moving forward, then absolutely move up. Leapfrog up in the second round or even late first round. We've seen that before where teams will take a early second round pick, and multiple other picks just for another team to move back up in the first round, late first round. Like you look at 30, 31, 32, somewhere around there. And I have zero problems with that. Yeah, absolutely. Move up if you feel like one of those guys can be or is better than what you have on your roster. I think that's the big thing there. Do you feel like Jalen Milrow can be better than Aiden O'Connell? Then yeah, why not? If it takes a year or two to get him there, old school wise, where the quarterback sits for a year or two, then so be it. Give Aiden a year, see what he can do, and who knows? Who knows what you have there? Maybe you have I don't want to say Brock Purdy. I'm still not sold on the Brock Purdy thing. Yeah, he got the 49ers to a Super Bowl and stuff like that, but I'm still not sold on Purdy. He looks fantastic at times, and at times he looks like a 7th round draft pick. So I'm still not sold. But he just, again, a huge contract for Brock Purdy. That's the 49ers franchise quarterback now, and he was a 7th round draft pick. So sometimes these guys, they get matched up with a certain coordinator, or they get a chance to learn, and it just clicks. It works out better than it did in college, or it works out better than what teams thought they were. Funny thing, Raiders won last 2 games without Max Crosby. Yeah, and their defenses looked pretty good. I hear Jalen Milrow, a smart kid, and he's working on his master's degree. This means he has possibility of sitting and learning. Yeah, and and that's the thing. You want a quarterback with a decent brain, sitting between their ears. If you go back to Jamarcus Russell, I feel like that was one of the huge things that the Raiders missed on was one, the kid wasn't committed, and from when you hear stories about it, the Raiders were told he wasn't committed, and he wasn't a good worker, and wasn't a student of the game kind of quarterback. He was a thrower. He could throw the ball far. That was about it. For college, that's great. For the pros, it's not going to work out well for you. There's more to it. So, Greg also says Jalen Milrow could be our Derek Carr. Yeah, and so that's the thing. Derek Carr was an early second round pick. So, and he holds all the franchise records in passing. Again, a different game now than it was back then. But still, Derek Carr doesn't get hurt. Was it 2016? Doesn't break his leg. Who knows? The Raiders beat the Texans in the first round. Who knows how far that team goes then? We were hot. The Raiders were clicking. Derek Carr was clicking. So there's gems. There are gems out there. And I remember when the Raiders drafted Derek Carr, leading up to that draft, it was almost a foregone conclusion the Raiders were going to take him early in the second round. And just looking, how well he played in college, like, why haven't I heard of him besides being David Carr's brother? So there's guys out there like that. All right. And we need to fix our running game. Offensive line, we have a young offensive line, I think, for the most part. Continue building our offensive line as well, offensively, with your quarterback. And it's only the guys that we got this year, DJ Glaze, Jackson Powers Johnson, they're only going to get better. Dylan Parham, only going to get better. I think the Raiders have him one more year. I think they need to re-sign him. I feel like he's a good guard. Colton Miller, tough season this year, by his standards. But I feel like he can bounce back next year. So we'll see what happens with the offensive line. But the run game needs to be better. Jalen Hurts, Jordan Love are both late first and second round players. Yeah, that's what I'm talking about, Greg. Like, it doesn't have to be a top 5 pick. You can find quarterbacks late, like I said, Ben Roethlisberger. Aaron Rodgers, late first round pick. Brett Favre, who the hell knows what round he went in? I don't even remember. Dan Marino wasn't a top 3 pick. He dropped, a middle, late first round, whatever it was. So there's guys like that out there. So it doesn't have to be a top 3 pick. You have to have good scouting, a good understanding, and I think you have to let the quarterback grow. You have to give him opportunity to learn. And they're both absolutely balling. Yes. And Jordan Love sitting for a couple seasons behind Aaron Rodgers. I'm not sure how long Hurts sat, if he even sat at all. No, he did sit. He was behind. Who was it? They drafted him after Foles. They had Carson Wentz got hurt. Then they had Foles. Foles won the Super Bowl. It was Wentz and Foles. Then I felt like they drafted Hurts. I feel like that's how it went. I don't remember exactly how it went, but it's something like that. But he didn't start right away either. So yeah, it was later in the season, I think, or even the next year. I don't remember exactly, but both of them outstanding. I don't know. Well, you even look at Patrick Mahomes. He wasn't a first top 5 pick, top 10 pick. He was later in the first round. But also Jesus Christ, Lamar Jackson. I don't think he was a number 1 pick. I could be wrong. Maybe he was a number 1 overall pick. I don't remember. It's so long ago now. I'm getting old. All right, but a lot of things to talk about, a lot of things to look at moving forward here. Should the Raiders win? Should the Raiders lose? I am just win baby, and I got really angry about it a couple times. Like, how can you say tank when your moniker, when your slogans are just win baby and commitment to excellence, and you're going to say we need to tank? That goes against everything that you believe in as a Raider fan, in my opinion, anyway. The way I believe a Raider fan is, the way the Raiders are built to be, and stuff like that. I know to get anywhere, sometimes you have to do the dirty things, but I'm not buying it. I'm not buying it. Too many missed early first round picks in the recent history here for me to go along with it, and I refuse to do it. I refuse to do it. So, all right. So that's all I have for today. I'm going to jump off of here. I'll be live tomorrow, 4:30 p.m. with the Silver and Black Lair LA Kings edition, talking a little bit of hockey. LA Kings, couple big wins this weekend. Huge win Saturday against the Edmonton Oilers in overtime, 4-3. A big win. Great atmosphere at the Crypt there, Crypto.com Arena against the Oilers. And yesterday, a hard-fought win against the Philadelphia Flyers. And I'm telling you, man, I said it on X. I said it on my show on Saturday. Before I went live before the Kings played the Oilers. The Flyers are a much better team than the record shows, and I would not be surprised to see them in the playoffs this year. I feel like the Flyers are very, very close to taking that to the next level. There's a little bit better defense, a little bit better goaltending, and I feel like they have the offensive firepower to do it. So, Happy New Year to you and Kim. I love you very much. Thank you for checking the show out. Greg, thanks for checking the show out. Dan, Rob, Vegas Rob, the mayor, thanks for checking that show out. Thanks for checking my show out. Steven, thanks for checking the show out as well. Check out the Commanders Gridiron. Great show, Washington Commanders podcast tomorrow. He does a great job with that, so be sure to check that out. I think he'll be on tomorrow. I'm not really sure if he'll be on tomorrow or not, with it being New Year's Eve. But I will be on tomorrow at 4:30 for about 45 minutes, half hour, 45 minutes talking LA Kings. Just 2 games to talk about, so and we'll go from there. All right, we got to give a shout out, of course, to our sponsors here. Of course, we got Jason Fine, attorney Big Al. You reach Big Al at 1-800-HURT-123. That's 1-800-HURT-123. Jason Fine specializes in motor vehicle accidents, slip and fall, workman's comp, and personal injury claims. He has 3 office locations conveniently located throughout Pennsylvania and New Jersey. His office in New Jersey is located in Cherry Hill on 3 Greensward Lane. The phone number there is 856-209-5258. And he has 2 offices in Pennsylvania. One in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, located on 500 Grant Street, Suite 2900. The phone number there is 412-365-8151. And he has one in Philadelphia, on 1628 JFK Boulevard, Suite 2120. And the phone number there is 267 888 2980. That's Jason Fine, attorney Big Al. And if you want to help me out, I appreciate it very much. I check out my sponsor, W Energy Drink, at www.w.gg. Use the promo code The Bat Cave. W Energy Drink. They have a variety of different energy drinks that you can buy and try. Shakers. They got swag, all that good stuff. Check them out. They also have hydration packets. For like kind of like a you see a liquid IV or almost like a Gatorade kind of, but it's not Gatorade. So it's much better for you than Gatorade. All natural. Good stuff there. So be sure to check out W Energy Drink at www.w.gg. Use that promo code The Bat Cave, all one word, no spaces, The Bat Cave, for 10% off your order. If you want to help me out, I appreciate it very much. Be sure to check out Out of the Box Sports on YouTube and X at OOT Box Sports. That is at OOT Box Sports on YouTube and X. Give us a follow and subscribe to our channel. Appreciate it very much. Follow me at the Batcave OOTBS on X. That's if you're a Mets fan. Raiders fans, be sure to check me out and on X at SB_Lair_OOTBE. Once again, you see there right above my head at SB_Lair_OOTBE. Give me a follow on X. I'd appreciate it very much. And my YouTube channel is at the Batcave_OOTBSE. I'd appreciate it if you subscribe to my YouTube channel as well. You can check out all my content then. Or even better, subscribe to the Out of the Box Sports YouTube channel. You can check out all of Out of the Box Sports content. The new year is going to be a big year for us, 2025. I got some great things coming up and kind of like a reboot here for Out of the Box Sports. So I can't wait, and it's going to be awesome. So thank you, everybody, for checking the show out. I appreciate it. And have a happy new year. Be safe out there, everybody. Don't drink and drive. And just be safe. And let's have a great 2025. I'll see you guys tomorrow at 4:30 for Silver and Black Lair, LA Kings. And also Wednesday, I will be live with the Batcave talking New York Mets. All right. I'll talk to you later. Have a happy new year. Yeah, I'm done stuttering. This is it. I'm going. Just win, baby. That's it. I'm